Hey everyone. Hey, evening. Okay, so welcome to the chat. Gonna have a nice chill evening tonight. What we're going to be doing is taking a look at this new book we have coming out in February for Fair Sparks Books, called Snuffy Zoey Toy Box Adventures Book 1, which is The Dragon and the Cupcake. So this is an amazing new book coming out by one of our creators, John Celestri. It's about two little bears that get up to all sorts of adventures in their toy box, and this one is all about stealing cupcakes from dragons. So the plan for today's stream, we're gonna, over the next hour, we're going to start preparing this book ready for the printers. So over the Christmas period, John sent me over all the final artwork, and it is amazing. So hopefully you'll get to see some of that today as we do this work. So you'll be getting a bit of a sneak peek as you see me lay out pages and stuff. You can obviously, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you can always type in !book into chat, and it will take you to the pre-order link. The pre-order is only £7 at the moment, and full price will be £7.99 on release in February. So I'm going to talk you through what I do during the setup for these books, and we can go through the adventure together and see what happens. So let's have a look. So I've got an InDesign here. Just tell me if the levels are a bit too bad as well. Like, I've got some music in the background, a little bit of jazz, a bit of smooth jazz. Yeah, so before starting out any kind of work on a piece, there is a couple of things that you need to be aware of before you even start working on anything in InDesign and laying out for print. So a couple of things you need to know. One, who your printer is. The reason this is that a lot of printers ask for files in loads of different variations. So figure out who your printer is going to be from costs, and then find out how they like their files set up. So we are using mixam.co.uk, a great bunch of people, and we do all of our printing currently through them. So the next thing you need to know is document setup. So this is obviously stuff like bleeds and margins. So for a lot of people out there who are not too sure what that means, so a bleed is when you have a document. Actually, once I've got the page open, I'll show you those in a bit more depth. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go, I already know the third thing, which is what are my sizes. Okay, so we have gone for a lovely A4 book. So let me just get that up for, where is it? I've got this written down here. So for the US, this is, what is it, 210 by 297 mil, or no, sorry, that's UK. So US is what? It's like 8.27. I'm just quickly getting this off my reference sheet. 69 inches. Okay. So this is our page size. So luckily in InDesign, when we're working in InDesign, you go to new document. This is the latest CC version, Creative Online Subscription Service version. So you can go to print, and in here they normally have some nice presets. So you can just pick A4. So that's what we're going for here because it's a UK product. So I want to expand out this right hand side of all this information here because you want to kind of make sure you've got your document set up as much as you can before you go, and it just makes life easier in the long run. So it's obviously automatically put those measurements in for me. We're having portrait book, it's not landscape, so we're going to stick to that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to have the amount of pages. Now if I remember rightly, let's get up the folder quickly. The page count was 40, I believe. Or not 36, was it? 30. I think it might have been 36. So we'll do 36. I need to just check myself that later. And then the important parts. So again, referring back to this. So what you got to remember is your bleeds. So if you have any artwork that's going to extend right to the edge of the document, as in full page, there's no borders around the edges or anything, you always need to extend your artwork over that page so that when printers print your work and cut it, it doesn't cut off all your art. So our printers like 3mm all the way around the edge. The second thing you need to be aware of is margins. So again, this comes down to how things are going to be printed and how they're going to be cut by the printers and stuff. So because there's not always because in large print cuts, it cuts a lot of paper at once, there's always an error that the paper can be cut millimeters either side, so you need to give yourself a margin of error basically. So our printers have a very nice handy guide that when you're working with them is that they have a margin of 8mm. So that's for standard printing on an A4 piece of paper. Now what's interesting is because of the page count of our book, we're going to have what's called perfect bound. So perfect bound is different from what are called staple traditional. So if you have a book, I don't know if I have an example to hand. I do. Okay, let me see if I can get this on the camera. 2 seconds, guys. Let's just make this bigger a sec. Ooh. So staple is obviously traditional method. We have staples on the insides and the outsides of the paper. What we're going with, because of the sheer volume of the size of the book, is what's called perfect bound. Now this is thicker, it has no staples and has a slight, when you open it there's a slight glued area, so you have to take this into account. So that's called perfect bound, and because of that, let's put my face back. Boop. Because of that, you have to do an extra thing, and our one is plus 7mm on the inside margins. So thankfully we can do this really easily. So we can change all our margins to 8mm, and then you can see that there's this bit here called inside and outside. So our printing glue is on the inside edge, so we need to do 8 plus 7, so 15mm. I think that's right? 7, 14, 15, yeah. And then that gives us an inside margin, which I'll show you in a second once we have the page open. Last thing, we'll get a bleed in, which is 3 around the edges, okay? And we'll create that. So it's going to go away and create a book. So as you can see now, if I go to our spread view, you can now see that the margins on the outsides are those 8mm, and then the inside margins where the glue is going to affect the page is here in the center. Okay, so that's great. And as you can see around the edge, there's this red box, so any full page art needs to always be dragged to this edge. Yeah, awesome. Now, the fun part, it's pretty simple. We need to start laying all the pages. So we're going to place files, and we already have the folder up here. So as you can see, this is all the artwork graciously sent over by John. So it's so beautiful, colourful. Our book's going to be set up in 2 parts. It's going to be set up with the story, and then followed by a load of interactive pages of colouring pages, that kind of stuff. So because of the way these are numbered currently, we're just going to have to do the first few pages manually, and then we'll grab all the pages and do them separately after. So front cover first, boom, and it's in. So simple, very simple. But again, make sure it's at the bleeds. And John has done an amazing thing of what a lot of artists sometimes don't do, which if you're working for a publisher, with a publisher, or even with printers, will be highly appreciated, is if you make sure your artwork is already set up taking bleeds into account. So as you can see here, John has provided the file already with the bleed size of 3mm around all the extra edges already taken into consideration. So you see I didn't have to extend the size of that file to make it reach those red boundaries. It was already there. So that's great. So as you can see, it looks a bit fuzzy. That's just for performance worries. You can go to view and click over print view preview, which will sharpen it all up, but that makes it run a lot slower, so we won't be using that until we're doing fine tuning. Now the next thing we have is the inside page. So we have chosen alongside is that we're going to have a really cool inside page here, if I can just get this lined up, called the Toy Box Adventures. Okay, so we're going to have this page here, which is a nice description page about the 2 main characters of the book and all of the publishing information. Okay, so I need to have a look at this file in a sec, because I think that might be a bit squished, but we can have a look at that in a minute. The next one is going to be this is the title page. So this is going to be a nice title page made by John, which is a nice little front book plate that allows children and readers of the book to put their name in the book. It's just a nice little touch. Let's turn that music down just a little bit. 2 seconds. Where's my volume? There it is. Okay, now there's one more page before the story starts, and we've got this little page here, which is just a nice little page of the jump animations of the two characters. I haven't got a link right this second, but I can post one. If you follow us on Twitter, I'll post one. But John has actually already made an animation on his YouTube channel of these 2 characters already, which is absolutely beautiful. So definitely go and check that out. We can have a look at that before I come off. I think that'd be a good idea. So now the fun part. So we got to fill all these pages before we start working on the intricate alignment, making sure things fit within that purple box. Is there anything we need to adjust? Do we need to go back to John and ask for any changes? So let's, first things first, save our document. Always save your document. So this is going to be Snuffy and Zoey book 1. Beep. Okay, so let's grab those pages. So we're going from page 1 all the way to page 33. And we'll grab those. Now, because of the numbering, it's going to take a sec to load all those pages, you can see. Hopefully it should do this in the right order. Did it do it? Oh, is that 33 first? That don't make sense. Nope, that's annoying. Okay, it's just loading them in a random order. That's really annoying. So instead, what I do is I'll do it in 2 page chunks. So the first thing I do is just, what I do is really crudely place them. Okay, so we've got page 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7. So you can see, as you can see, when you're doing this kind of work, it's a lot of repetitive tasks and stuff, but the good thing is you get to see a lot of what's going on, and you get to so where am I? That was 8, 9, so 10, 11, 10 and 11, place those. 12, 13, place 14, 15. Let's just check. 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17, 18 and 19, then 20 and 21, file place 22. And for the purposes of this part, I'm just going to stop there for a minute, and then we're going to lay out just the book itself first, the story part of the book, sorry. So let's just scroll back up. So this page I need to have a look at, because this at first glance looks slightly strange because of this logo's throwing me off, and this text, even when I'm okay, it's not too bad, but that logo's throwing me. I think it's a bit thinner than it should, a bit squished, so I might need to have a look at that. So what I do is I'll try and have a little page 2 logo. That's just something for me to remind myself to come back and look at, because it's not worth worrying about right now. So, but this page looks, yep, that's absolutely fine. So one thing you can do in properties panel is alignment to page, this little line section, line to page, bam, throw that in the middle, perfectly aligned now. Right, so that's the first thing I'm going to do for everything, because it's good to make sure it's perfectly aligned before you move on to doing anything else. So for example, on this page, even though we've centered it, we can see this is getting very close to the purple edge here, but we've got plenty of space here. So knock it over a little bit, get it in between, because we don't, it's very likely that the glue is going to hit and prevent that from happening, but the cut is very less likely to happen, so it's always a good thing to watch out for. The other aspect is, you can see here we've got the same issue. It's very close here but very empty here, so we can just nudge it over one, and I'm going to say bring it about there, I think. Yep, that looks good. It's like just inside each side. Yeah, brilliant. And then we're gonna, it's a very repetitive situation, but the first thing you do, just center align everything, center align them, see how they fall, how they fit the page. So you can see this one, same kind of issue, right? So let's just move it over, try and center line that into that square a bit. Okay, and then this one, so this is interesting because if you look here, the height of the squares is slightly different, and that's because of the hand-drawn nature of the artwork, which is really nice. So it's not ever going to be perfectly lined up, so you don't have to worry about that. What I do want to worry about is how much of this is supposed to hit the edge, and this looks like it's supposed to be laid out like that, so that's fine. So what that's going to mean is that this area here in the bottom left of this page will be into the glue gutter, but none of the action of the page and none of the text gets lost by that page. So this might be one to have a chat with John about, because it might be, is it supposed to be down here in alignment which seems to be more, yeah, because if you line the top row up, which is here, we pull that across. Yeah, okay. So it brings the 2 and the 3 almost in line. So then we can check that. Is the 2 and the 3 in alignment? Just about, yeah. So that's fine. I like that. So that stops just there. That's stopping it. We will lose a little bit there, but as I said, none of the action of the page is lost. So that should be good. Right, what's next? Let's have a look. Oh, wrong button. So that's aligned center. That's aligned center. Same issues. Again, it's not, well, it's not an issue. It's just a layout preference. So let's get this centered as best as we can. And then, so the good thing about a book, right, is you have to remember that this alignment from top to bottom doesn't have to match this alignment. The only alignments that definitely have to match is the 2 pages side by side, because you're not going to really notice if this is 2mm higher than this when you turn a page. Very unlikely, but you're definitely going to notice if these 2 are totally off. So again, just try and get this as matched up as best I can. Move it over. And I think, yeah, that feels nice. It looks nice, it feels nice. Great. Then we move on to this page. And again, as I say, it's a very repetitive thing that goes on. Hey, Pirate Rabbit Sim. Yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you. We're just laying out a new book that we have coming out in February. It's called Snuffy Zoey. I'll put a link in the chat for anyone that's interested in the book. And did I put artist or creator for the other command? Let's have a quick look. I put creator. So here is a link to the creator's Twitter. But this is a new book we have coming out in February. What we're doing at the moment is we're taking the artwork provided by John, our creator, and we're getting it prepared for print. So that's why the jazz in the background. You know, you need to chill. You need to. It's a repetitive job, so you need to just keep going through the motion. So again, everything I do is line up the second page to the first page, and then try and fit it central to that box. Brilliant. So as you can see, this artwork is fantastic, right? Look at, I love these stars around the speech bubbles of the magic toy box. Really love it. So again, we just keep repetitive, repeat, and you'll be checking. If you're doing this yourselves, you'll go mad eventually, because you think you haven't done it. You go through it so many times. Like, I think I go through the same book 3-4 times before I send it to the printers, because you know what it's like once you send it to the printers and you get it back, you spent money printing it, and you want to make sure you don't want to have to reprint it. And I've had to reprint stuff in the past because I didn't change an issue number on the front cover. It was supposed to be 3, but I left 2, and stuff like that. So try to avoid those kind of silly mistakes if you can. But as you can see, John is so good at what he does. He has prepared these files with all of this care and thought already taken into consideration. So as you can see, I'm not having to resize these pages at all. They are set up, ready to go. So how's your day, Pirate? So yeah, here we go. Look, the first appearance of a rabbit. Sorry, not a rabbit. What am I saying? Of a dragon. Funny looking rabbit, isn't it? Rabbit. I was reading something earlier that had rabbits in it. That's why. But again, this repetitiveness. It's taking the time to line everything up that really makes a book, and you'll notice the difference when people have not taken the time to do this in in their work when they send it to print, especially people new to publishing. When I started out sending stuff to printers, when I first done my first few books for the charity and stuff like this. So this is a page that's you can immediately see slightly different. So this page is throwing up two things for me at the moment. One, that this is looking like the size of the other pages on here. Yeah, you can tell that this one's looking, this one on the right is looking about the same in terms of the gap, but this one's not. So this is an interesting one, because if I line these up, you'll see that now this is firing off up here. So what we can do, we'll just see what it's like if we do this. We can scale this slightly, just a couple of %, but it's thrown it now within that square. Now the only thing to be careful of when you're doing that is how it affects the text, because the text on this is actually baked into the artwork. So we just zoom in and have a look. It's looking about the same, and because it's only 2%, your eye shouldn't be able to tell the difference, well, regularly, that the font size is slightly changed. Only if you're staring at font all day long, like a lot of us have, you'll notice that. But I'm a bit more happier with that reduction on the left hand page, because it's brought this into the safe margin. Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, how's that looking there? Yeah, we could maybe bring that one up a little bit bigger. I'll write that as a note. So page 14, 15. So that's just a note for me to maybe come back to that a bit later on, because I don't want to stop the flow that I'm in terms of getting these centered and lined up. So again, we've got a nice little page here. It's looking good. Oh, I love this artwork, I really do. Can't wait to get this printed and in my hands. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so again, what you've got to be careful of is you've got to remember, you see on the right here, you've got these texts, these explosion, yeah, stuff like that that's coming out of the box. You want to make sure, especially at this top right here, that that's not going over that margin too much. You should never have text going out your margins. Avoid that at all costs, unless you're happy with that text being cut off. You've got to remember that, it's very important. Never have your text coming out of your margins. So, got this again. So this is looking good. I really like this. So again, just a quick, some pages it's so simple, just a little nudge over to the right, and it's looking good. Yeah, text is fine, looking good. So let's do the same here and the same here. So again, nudge to the left, maybe a little bit more, little nudge to the right. Yep, it looks good. Because what you've got to remember is what I showed you earlier, is that when you're doing a perfect bound book, oops, sorry, my thing just dropped. 2 seconds. Yeah, so what you got to remember is that with a perfect bound book, you have got the book, and when you open it, it does, how do I do this? It does do that. So this part right here is what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid anything lost down there. So you'll see when you're reading, there's always this nice gap on each page that stops artwork from and text hitting that page. I don't think this one has an example of a full page artwork, so that's a shame. But so try and avoid stuff like that. Let's put this back. Okay, so now we're on the last page. Brilliant. Perfect. Quick save of onto is the second part of the book, which is these lovely pages here. So John has been awesome enough in providing a load of activity pages for the back of the book for the kids to enjoy colouring, learning to draw the characters. And because of that, we've had to think about another aspect of printing, which is paper stock. So generally comics will have gloss finishes because they're shiny and the paper's nice and they're perfect for throwing, you know, like handling. But because we had a few criterias for this book, we needed the pages to be drawn and coloured in at the end of the book. So one of the things we done was our printers allow you to send off for sample prints of the paper. So we got a couple of the pages printed off on a certain paper stock, which for our one is called uncoated paper stock, and we're going to go with these printed were what we called 150 GSM, which is just the thickness of the paper, but for the print we're actually going to go for 170. And the reason for this is that once we got this back, we done some test colouring in with crayons. You can just about see it here, like a marker and crayons and stuff like that, and we wanted to see how it would affect going through the paper, because obviously you're going to have multiple printing. So Little Heroes, did you get Linkerson? Hi Malt, yep, we definitely did, and I'll message you after the stream about that. I'm still waiting for Atlas to download, so I'll probably be actually playing it tomorrow, so I'll let you know, and if I do I might stream a few hours, so that should be fun. So yeah, so we decided to go to 170 because we've realised that when you use markers at that thickness, it tends not to bleed all the way through, you just get a tiny little bit. So let's start building those pages. So again, it's same as before, grab the pages, boom boom, and just start laying them down. So what did I just do? 26, 27, yeah. So 28, 29, 29, file place, 30, 31. Okay, file place, 32, 33. Okay, so we need a few more pages. So adding pages simple, just drag them in. So what page was that? That was, I don't think that's numbered, so let's just see what that is. Sweet Tooth the Dragon. File place. Get these two. Cool. And then one of the other things we've got is a author bio page. Oh, sorry, I had that image selected. An author bio page, and then something else we need to put into the back. Oh, we need the back cover, obviously, down there. And another thing we need is not in this folder. Let me just go find where that is. Projects, comics. Where are you? You're here somewhere because I used you the other day. Trying to find where it is. Sorry guys, 2 seconds. Alright, I can't find it off the top of my head. But basically, in this page next to John's beautiful face, here is our wonderful creator John. He has an amazing moustache, and being a beard grower myself, I'm very jealous of that thick moustache with a twill. I can't get it. Mine comes very, very thin and fine. I don't like it. But part of all books published by Fair Sparks Books has a whole page dedicated to an advert to Little Heroes Comics to charity, so that will be there. So let's have a look where we was. So we were here. So the first page is this lovely page here, John the Animator Guy's drawing lesson number 1. So as you can see, this is throwing a few little worries. We kind of want that there, but then that pushes everything out over here. So let's do our little transform trick again. How does that fit? That's a little bit better, but not 100%. Yeah, that should be fine, because that should be okay, and that should be okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously what we do is, before this ever gets sent to print, we always send back to our creators to see if they are happy with the layout choices that I've made and whether it flows for them, etc. For example, this one. So this is an interesting one, because we might lose part of Snuffy here. So I'm gonna have to have just a question for John on this one, because is it worth us moving this across so it starts here? But what I'm thinking, because of the way this page is laid out, maybe we can just flip this section so that he's coming in from the left. That might be better. So let's have a look at, what page is this? 29. Page 29. Maybe make Snuffy appear from the left to avoid the inside gutter. So these are, yeah, again, these are just things you only think about once you're actually starting to lay out the page. So it's not as if anyone's done it wrong. It's not like maybe I could have pre-thought about it when I was agreeing the pages and stuff, but just looking at it is when you're able to see how it will look as a book and how it will feel. So yeah, that's just a choice, but I think this is fine. Having Zoe come in from the side is probably a good idea. Like, that fits nicely there, look. So we're not going to lose her, but then she's not hanging off the page. So yeah, I quite like that, but it just means she might get cut. She'll get cut somewhere along there, but because of the way it's drawn, it's going to be good no matter where she's cut. So maybe, yeah, that's fine. But I think this one might be better coming in from the left. I'll have a chat with, I'll throw that question to John. See what he thinks from his artistic viewpoint. So again, let's have a look at these pages. So this one's great, shows you how to draw the dragon. That one's fine. Move it, maybe just move it over a little bit to avoid that gutter. Nice. And then, so this is throwing me because I've got to twist my head to look. But again, John has just been amazing at getting his pages sized correctly, so that's great. Let's do this here, and I've just realised my music stopped, so let's have a look why that stopped. Just play that again. So I'm on webcam. Yeah, but it'll be on cam. You need some sellotape. Thin or big?
I should do this bag up.
There you go.
So I'm having
A little bit there.
Sesame seed emergency.
Sesame seed emergency. Okay, where was I? Okay, so again, it's like how you lay out a page. So think about this, right? The kid is going to read this and potentially colour in the pages. Now, if I've got this book and I open it to colour in, am I going to do this to colour in? So that to colour in this page, I've got to lean over to colour in, or do I flip it and colour in like this, and then flip it to colour this? So the question I asked that is this: for this page, do we have it like this, or do we have it like this? questions, thoughts. It's really interesting because this one I think needs reduction by a couple of percent. To make that copyright fit in the same way the other copyrights fit in. We may lose that. So this is another question I need to ask John, because I think that's right, because this page is fine. These ones are fine because of the way they're vertical, but when you become horizontally driven, you need to worry about how someone's going to handle that book. So again, on page 33 is orientation. Okay, yeah. So again, it might be the same with this page. Do we orientate this one, which is page 35? So again, it's just like you play around, you see how things fit. I can see that now that I'm looking at this, I can see that John's deliberately made this one, the lines go to the edge. So, but I do want his name copyright in there. So again, it might be worth asking John to just quickly redo these pages with the name a bit more within this 8mm gap, so that we can make sure that it fits. The same with this one, because if I put this one back to 100, does this one scale? Why is that not done it? Well, let's just put this one back in file place. And this was page 34, wasn't it? So not page 34, sorry, it's pain. What's before it? It's Zoe playing, so it's this one. So on this page, which is 33, John's name needs to come in from the right. Okay, let's put that in. No, page 34, this one isn't. That's page 33. Page 34. Page 34, name needs to come in inside of the right hand margin by a few millimeters. So as you can see, it just needs to come in just a bit so that we can avoid that. This one's fine. That one's fine. Oh no, it's not, is it? Because it needs to come up. Like literally like a few millimeters. It needs to come up and in just a few millimeters. So that's page 35. So page 35, name needs to come in side of the margin, both all directions, by a few millimeters. This one looks, let's have a look at this. Do you know what, I tell you what, I'm not gonna lie, one of my favourite colouring pages in this whole book. I absolutely love it. It's just beautiful. Trouble is, again, we've got to worry about the printing of this, so we might have to scale this one because I don't want to miss like maybe another, scale that by another %. There we go, that looks a bit better because now it's all in. So let's have a look. Hasn't messed anything up, has it? We're still in overprint view mode. No, I think that's good. So nice. So again, with this one, might have to rotate this. So this is just something I need to ask John's opinion on it, whether he feels that as well, because this is how I feel like it should be, but it's whether John feels that way. So again, with this one, it looks like it's basically there. I might even have to just reduce it just by like, just that. Oh, Wrong one. Object, transform, scale. Maybe 98. Yeah, perfect. See how it just brings it straight inside of those margins. It's quite a common trick to reduce stuff by 2% because it's not enough for the eye to notice a difference. But it normally pushes it just in within those margins. This page feels perfect. Leave that one. John's beautiful face. Centered perfectly. Move it over slightly in that page. He's sneaking around again.
To the alcohol shelf, it's okay.
Going to the alcohol shelf, okay.
Adding to it.
Adding to it. Okay, so this one here. So on the last page, there's a couple of things that you need to put in. One of which is a barcode. This is a barcode for your book. Thank you. And I think that's fine. So do we want the barcode? And this is all just decisions you end up making on the day. So I will have a play around with this bit because there's a few things I like to include, which is like Spark Books. Okay, I'll work out the font of that. Might have to move this logo over. So what I might ask John is if he can provide the last page and the inside page without the logo, so I can just drop those in myself. So that's page 2, and back page without logos. I should save this up before I lose it. For John. So again, and that's basically how you do a first pass on a layout of a book. So as you can see, that took us what, just short of an hour to get that book ready for a first pass. And as you can immediately see that the artwork in this book is stunning. So definitely consider heading over to this link here to pre-order the book, or to this link here to follow